GarageBand for Windows. Wouldn't that be something? Looking at the Mac through the eyes of a Windows user, there's not much to be jealous of these days. But in the late zeros and the early 2010s, there was a whole lot of different going on in the Apple ecosystem. Yeah. Back then, as a longtime PC user, I was computing happily in an outdated version of Windows. The clock was ticking, though. It was getting time to upgrade, but the new version of Windows required way more power than what my PC could do at the time. I just couldn't hit the upgrade button and move on, without consequences. I knew I had to get a new PC, or else my computer would get buried. I know. It's kind of like nowadays. History repeats itself. So anyway, I started looking at PCs. There was just one problem, though. I didn't like any of the new PCs available. My PC was so old it was made by IBM. Even back then, IBM had long since sold ThinkPad to Lenovo, and the new PCs they were making were bigger and clunkier. They had the trackpoint mouse, the eraser tip, which I liked, but Lenovo insisted on putting touchpads on all laptops, even the ones with trackpoint already, which seems great on the surface, except every time I typed, the cursor would move around. Meanwhile, Mac was starting to look way cooler than Windows in my opinion. I liked everything about the way it worked. The 3D dock, no trackpoint, but the touchpad actually worked like it was supposed to. What's more, Apple seemed to care about creators more than Microsoft did. I had to switch. I got my first Mac, and it was heaven. When I played my MIDI keyboard into my Mac, the MIDI was tight and in perfect time. When I hit play after my recording, it played the notes back exactly as I played them. And then I discovered something really cool. GarageBand. It's funny, I had heard about GarageBand a lot as a PC user, and I never considered it to be much of a real threat to anything. After all, who wants a stripped-down app for making music when you can have something full-featured like Logic, Cubase, or my personal favorite at the time, Ableton Live? When I migrated to the Mac, I brought with me all my favorite music apps, so who would want this GarageBand? But as it turned out, I knew someone who did. Me. Yes, I had all the best music apps, and they worked great, but sometimes all these features were too much of a distraction, and I just needed something simpler. Many times I just wanted to record a quick demo of a song without really worrying about the final result. I didn't want to spend a bunch of time perfecting the song because I don't even know if the song is worth it yet. I may not even be sure about what instruments I want the song to have. But in modern music apps, there are way too many options, and it is hard to stay focused on the song, and all too easy to get bogged down in the details. GarageBand was different. It was simple. It was great for the song ideas I wasn't sure about. A lot of these songs are just concept songs, but occasionally one of these songs would, start to show some promise, and I would want to start to develop it more, maybe even perfect it. You'd think a stripped-down app like GarageBand would be dangerous for those special songs if they were locked away in GarageBand jail, unable to go beyond the limits of this app. So, would I need to start my song all over again in a different app? It turns out, no. You can load your GarageBand project right into Logic Pro, and now you have no limitations at all. It's amazing. This workflow was great for me. I lived happily ever after as a Mac user. Not exactly. The honeymoon ended. As time went on, the Apple ecosystem changed. You see, even though Steve Jobs had laid the foundation for the perfect artist hub for all creative tasks, the operating system's value slowly began to erode for me. Apple accelerated the pace of upgrades, and many of my older apps like Adobe began to no longer work unless I paid for upgrades. GarageBand and Logic had free upgrades, thankfully. But GarageBand projects and Logic projects would no longer open in newer versions because I hadn't kept reloading them into Logic and then resaving them. The worst part was how the desktop OS was starting to look more and more like a mobile OS, with square buttons and round corners everywhere. This isn't a deal breaker necessarily, but I really did get tired of dealing with upgrade cycles. I mean, I had apps on my Windows PC from the 1990s that still worked today. Eventually, Apple even changed CPUs, causing even more headaches for creators. Glad I dodged that bullet. You can't blame Apple for going mobile. Microsoft fell for this same industry trend for a little while, too. If you remember Windows 8 at all, this was a very mobile-like and terrible OS for creators. But Microsoft pivoted and made Windows 10, and now Windows 11. They gave up on the phone thing. Unlike Apple, Microsoft doesn't even make phones. Needless to say, I became a PC user again when Windows 10 dropped. But I never forgot how cool the GarageBand to Logic workflow was. So what is a PC user to do these days? I mean, what is the closest thing to GarageBand on PC? And can I get the same sense of growth from that starter app to the full-blown app? You know, the full workflow? Well, I'm happy to say I've found it. There are many options, of course, but let's nail down the criteria. What are the things we want? First of all, it needs to be simple, but not feel limited. What I mean is, it's okay to be limited in features, but limited in the number of tracks, that's too much of a limitation. So we just want it to be simple and not feel limited. It would be great if it had a powerful free version. With GarageBand, it's free and powerful, and then the paid version is Logic Pro, right? We also want a smooth upgrade path for songs to go pro. And it would be really great if it supported phones for seed songs, like GarageBand does. While we're at it, I kind of want to mention what I don't care about in finding a GarageBand equivalent on Windows. I don't really care what type of payment model it uses, if it's subscription-based or not. Look, I hate subscription models just like you, but I'm not going to shun subscription models out of principle, especially since some of the best apps are subscription-based these days. The better principle for me is, can I make music with this? Is it hard to do? I find most software to be lacking, and if you say no subscriptions, you start eliminating options. Free software as in open source. So what I'm not going to do is get bent out of shape if it's not open source. Free is important to me when you're just starting out. But open source, although I don't mind it, I don't really need it. It's not something I'm going to demand because, again, it would greatly limit my options. One thing is for sure is I don't really care if everyone is using a particular app or not. That's not important to me. It does need to have enough user base for there to be a good community there, but beyond that, I don't really care if it's what 90% of the world is using. And I don't really care if it's what the pros use or not. A lot of times, the pros have worked very hard to learn the tools that they know, and it can be challenging for a normal person to pick up on that stuff. And we don't really have the same amount of time. We haven't devoted our full lives to it. So yeah, this is not an important thing to me. So, what is the closest approximation? Well, to me, there's really only one clear winner. And that is Cakewalk Sonar. I mean, if you think about it, it's got everything that you could possibly want. It has this simplified view here that looks very approachable, and it's really amazing. And furthermore, it has a phone version. You can record tracks, you can write lyrics, and set tempo. And yes, apps on the desktop also have this, but it's just really nice to have it on a phone because you can tap more easily and you can get a more accurate tempo in your head before you start your song. Also, there's this thing called BandLab Studio, which is even simpler than GarageBand, and it runs in a browser, which I find to be amazing. What's even cooler is that I can take this project and I can now open it up in Cakewalk Sonar, and it works fine. So really, we have all three of these apps available to us. But the bottom line is, the most important thing is to just get started. Just press play. This is the most important thing to do. No matter what app that you use, you just need to get started, and that's the bottom line. If you enjoyed watching this video, read in the comments for more info.